End of the Impact segment tonight, some factor hard news facts. Country of Sweden accepted about 275,000 refugees from 2014 to 16. More per capita than any other European country. Vast majority coming from Muslim nations. Corresponding with that influx, a rise in sex and gun crimes in Sweden, a big rise. In fact, according to a government survey, 1/3 of all Swedish women now say they no longer feel secure in their own neighborhoods. Today in the Wall Street Journal, two Swedish politicians that led a move to crack down on the refugee situation, which the government did, warned America to take note. Joining us now from Washington, Niels Bildt, I should say, a Swedish defense and national security advisor. Here in New York City, and Sofia Naslund, correspondent for the Swedish newspaper Expressen. 1/3 of the women, according to government stats, this isn't press stats, okay, fearful. When I was in Sweden decades ago, that was one of the most safe places on earth.
It still is. It's one of the safest and most peaceful countries.
Then why does 1/3 of Swedish women feel that they're not safe in their neighborhood?
I mean, that is a number that, if you actually look at the number, most people that say that they feel not safe are people coming from other countries. That's one of the facts that is not mentioned in this Wall Street Journal article. There are a lot of facts.
So people who have moved to Sweden don't feel safe, but people who are raised in Sweden feel safe? Is that what you're saying?
Most people really feel safe in Sweden.
All right, what about reported crimes? Again, from government stats, gun crimes, and you have very strict gun laws there, and sex crimes, sex assault crimes. Way up, way up. How do you justify that?
Gun violence, yes, those rates have gone up. That has nothing to do with refugees situation.
Know?
Because when they look at the numbers, what they think is that these are weapons coming in because of EU. It has nothing to do with the refugee situation. And if you look at the rape and numbers when it comes to that, that is really complex. It's a really complicated situation. They are mentioned in this article, Jimmy Åkesson and Mattias Karlsson. They are mentioned some numbers, but there are other numbers that show something totally different.
According to you, though, there's no problem with all these refugees. They have not changed the tone of Swedish life.
I mean, we didn't accept a lot of refugees thinking there wasn't going to be a challenge at all. Of course, it has been challenging, but it's not a crane wave in Sweden. And the things that has been challenging has more to do with the school system or where.
And that's why the government limited, went from 275 to like 35,000. That's why they cut it back that drastically.
Actually, that minister that was responsible for immigration, yes, that's what he said
Social service is not crime. Okay, Mr. Bill, do you believe that? Do you see it that way?
Well, unfortunately, Ms. Naslund is quite incorrect, or rather incorrect. There is a problem with socially deviant activity. There is a problem with crime. There is a problem with areas or hotspots of crime, be it in Malmö, be it in Gothenburg, Stockholm, or the suburbs thereof. And these things are not being openly and honestly discussed. The narrative in Sweden, the Swedish political debate, is completely false. You cannot have a debate, an honest, open debate in Sweden about immigration. Because if you don't agree with the liberal, shall we say, common agenda, then you are viewed as an outsider or not even taken seriously.
All right. And we all know that Sweden is a socially liberal nation. But the cutback in refugees stands for itself, all right? For a 2-year period, it took more than anybody else took. Now you're down into 30,000, okay? Ms. Naslund says it's because the social services were overwhelmed. Education, welfare, refugees get housing, you just couldn't afford it. You say?
I say it's because we are unable in Sweden to socially integrate these people. It's not that they can't learn or go to school, but the Swedish politicians have had absolutely no systematic plan for integrating mass amounts of immigrants to become productive members of society. So, of course, you're going to have social problems.
All right. We wanted to get that all on the table because, obviously, we're debating the same issues here in the USA. We thank you both for coming in here.